Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I've been watching Foundation, and it's a really intriguing and annoying piece of work. It's intriguing and really, really irritating. In that it's very good. It's very, very, very good. And very, very, very marred by being made in 2020, 2021. It's got that double-edged sword going to, but there are bits in it which are really good. And for me, the good is outweighing the bad, but the bad's really, really, really been getting grating recently. So this is a review of episodes 7 and 8. The so far, the absolute nadir of it has been episode 5, Upon Awakening. That's the episode without Lee Pace. Lee Pace holds this series together. He's one of the most important things about this series. He's doing a fantastic job, but he not only does a fantastic job. I like Lee Pace in pretty much everything. He's always really, really, really interests me. Fine. So before we get into the review, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. All those things are very, very, very good things to do, and make me very happy. So thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe. And let's start looking at this episode. Right, so the basic problem with this episode, I'm on the Wikipedia, let's open this up. The basic problem with this episode, with this series, not this episode, is being made in 2021. So you got two really very, very, very typical characters, tokenized characters for this era. We have one, Galsonic, is... the better of the two, right? Because the first episode, she was really good. And then in episode 5, they filled in a backstory. And it's absolutely agonizing. So she is a Mary Sue math super genius, right? That's basically who she came. When in the first episode, she was very feminine and like a fish out of water. And I appreciated her story, right? It was very, very interesting. Now, I want to be clear. Never read Foundation. And from what everybody's told me, this is based on Foundation in the same way that, you know, it's more like this is a few things that Isaac Asimov once said to his barber. Made a decision. There's a lot of ideas they take from it, but this is essentially a new piece they're creating around it, which has just got renewed for a second season. I hope they get off the problems of this year. So she's on a planet where learning science is allowed. Firstly, the planet she's on is the planet's name is I Hate Religion. I hate all religion by somebody who's a religious zealot, right? Because there's so many tenets of the religion of 2020, 2021, which is they're just nonsensical, and you just need to make leaps of faith because none of it makes any bloody sense. So she's on a planet where she's not allowed to study science. And then she does it anyway, and she solves a 100-year-old equation, which she then transmits to a university on the main planet, and then they bring her in, and she's stunning and brave, and she's the secret to answer to everything. So, believe it or not, she's a slightly less annoying character of the two. The more annoying character, whose name I continually forget, because she's continually forgettable. It is, there we go, it's, so Gal Dornick is, Salva Hardin. Salva Hardin is the most typical thing you see in 2020, 21. It's a, stunning and brave black woman, young black girl, who's masculine, snarling, and has the size of a head shaved. And everything about her, this character is awful, right? She's also the stunning and brave key to everything, right? Also, there's the basic premise is the universe is going to collapse, and so there's a movement afoot to create it's called Foundation, to create an arc of information, so the Dark Age will only last for 1,000 years as opposed to 30,000 years. Whatever, and when they get to the planet to build it, there's already a weird arc there that they can't go in, and if anybody goes near it, they get sick, apart from this girl who's stunning and brave, a key to everything, right? Really boring character. I also noticed she has a boyfriend who is who's transport stuff, he has a spaceship, So what I was doing with this character is I just imagined her. I mapped over just a normal bloke as opposed to a stunning brave girl. And then it was okay. But then I realized the boyfriend is played incredibly effeminately, right? Incredibly femininely. And it's just it was so vast. So now she's it was okay at one point, but before when she was on this planet called Turbinus, where they're building the foundation, because you had other stuff going on. Now they've taken her off that, and she's on her own little side quest, focusing much more on her, and it's just she's much more of a Mary Sue who's good at everything, which she was on the previous two episodes as well. But it's just much more to the forward. And now, making all this watchable, this has all been like, sounds pretty bad. Making all this watchable is once a leap pace, but also the wonderful world building, which I'm really into, and the political machinations within the world. So the Lee Pace is the emperor who keeps cloning himself. He's been the emperor for about the last 400 years. And it's took me a while to work out this empire's been lasted thousands of years. And the emperor's been the emperor for a few hundred years with royal cloning. And there's always a young one, a medium age one, and an old one. There's brother dawn, brother day, brother dusk, right? And as they get old, they launch a new one, right? And so that's by far the most interesting thing. And the politics of the era as well, which I think is done pretty well. Put together well. So in the first episode, there's a big terrorist attack that takes out this thing called the space bridge. It causes millions of people to be killed. Like, it's huge, and it's vaguely connected to a planet, a couple of planets, but it's never proved. But they bomb them into nothingness very, very quickly. So now, this 30 years later, we're dealing with the scarred remnants of that, and I think that's quite an interesting story to tell. How war and violence begets war and violence. I like that story. I think it's an interesting idea. And that's the thing. There are lots and lots of interesting ideas in this. You just got to wade through the current day-ness of it. So fine. So Mistress and Martyrs. So this is my favorite thing is, again, the Lee Pace. He's, for the first time, has left the planet. And he's gone to this religious place, this center of a religion, because there's about to be a new chief rabbi, whatever. By the way, everyone is a black woman, right? Every good is a black woman. There's Tanai Miller is a radical priest who feels that if you are cloned, you do not have a soul. And the emperor's clone, so it's a little bit. So he's gone to that planet to sort that out, see if he can negotiate some kind of settlement with them, or get the more traditionalist chief rabbi to become chief rabbi, who's a white woman as opposed to a black woman. So she's not quite as good. So fine. So we got Salva and Farah's party. Explore the 700-year-old ghost ship Invictus. Fine. So where we are over here, we got the planet Terminus in one section. We have planet Terminus where they got the foundation being built. These people from the planet that was decimated in the first episode have shown up, and they've taken control of it. They shot down a ship, and they kidnapped the people there. They basically murdered a bunch of people there. And their plan is they found a 700-year-old warship, which they want to get the people on the Terminus planet to take to Earth to blow it up, essentially. And they're like, but you know what it's like. Oh no, don't do it to innocent people. And she's like, oh no, we're going to do it to innocent people. Oh, by the way, the chief person is also another stunning and brave black woman. Oh my God, just stop with this. Fine. So they make it on the ship, but not without casualties. Hugo, I believe, is Salvo's boyfriend, drifts off, misses the ship in the spacewalk, and I think it appears that he doesn't make it. And somebody else is killed as well. Dorwin is killed by Farah after he unseals the vessel. Oh yeah, so they get one survivor from the Imperial ship they shot down to give them access to this vessel, and as soon as they get in, they shoot him. Obviously, which is kind of like, yeah, really. I don't know what inside. So there was a quite a good sequence when they get to the ship where those defenses are still on, and so they got to like try and not get shot. See, all that stuff's very good. All the sci-fi stuff is very good. All the world building stuff, very, very, very good. And so when they get there, they work out this ship has been jumping throughout space for the last 700 years randomly because they can't direct it, and it's about to jump in the next half hour, and they assume, oh no, it's going to jump into a sun or something, we're all going to get killed. Well, it's been going for 700 years, and everyone's still, I think you might be okay. Who knows, or dares to dream. But they that whole plot line is basically like, a maze trying to make it through to the bridge without getting killed, which is quite a good plot line. It's just it's got Salva being the stunning and brave girl who's good at everything. Oh, so boring! It's so boring. So on the holy planet Maiden, Brother Day cannot get through to Tanai Miller, the radical new rabbi, whatever her name is, because she's like, I don't want to be bought off. This is my belief. I think you are a soulless being, right? And so he's never been spoken to that way. It's quite well. He's got the last robot in the universe is was another thing that's been another character been gender swap, but I think that gender swap really works. I like that gender swap. Is a devotee of this religion, something to do with salt. So that whole plot line is where the episode ends, and it's a really good ending because he's on this planet. There's a grueling pilgrimage people make, which people die mostly doing, and it's unbelievably hard. It's like 127 kilometers. And he says, I'm going to walk the spiral. And to prove that, by doing that, it proves he has a soul, right? He's putting himself in real genuine jeopardy. So this is a really good part of the episode. Again, everything with Lee Pace drives the whole thing forward. Now, meanwhile, Brother Dawn, back on Trantor, you're finding out a little bit more about him. He's falling in love with the gardener, which is really quite sweet. But you get to find more about his life, and he's not a perfect copy. He's colorblind. He crosses his thumbs a different way, and he knows there's a copy of him ready to take over if they find any defect whatsoever. So he's living in terror, right? He's living in absolute terror. And she says, "Listen, let me smuggle you out. We'll change your face. We'll change your name. You can have your own life," and they'll just wake up the clone, and it doesn't matter. That's a really good plot line. I'm really, really excited about. So what was a good plot line, which is just fallen apart completely. Oh, it's so bad. Is the other stunning and brave black girl who's the key to everything. So what's the name? Gal Sornik was on the ship to take everybody from the main planet to Terminus to start this foundation. It's going to take, as a journal, take about 3 or 4 years. During it, the guy who came up with the science of psychohistory of predicting the future through looking at trends in history, who's predicting the world, the universe, the empire is going to collapse, which is like heresy. So he's got a chief acolyte who ends up the boyfriend of this woman. Was it Gal Sornik? So on the pilot episode, she walks in and he's just killed him. Like the acolyte, her boyfriend's just killed the was it Harry Seldon, and he's like, "What's going on?" And so he takes her, puts it into an escape pod with the knife he killed her with. It fills up with fluid and she's spat into space, and you don't know where she is. She wakes up 30 years later, and she's put on board this ship called the Raven, and then you see the dead Harry Sarnik, the dead Harry Seldon start to like flicker into reality. It turns out it's a copy of his personality. It's been stored on the knife that was used to kill him with. So Harry explains that Gull and Wright's that's her boyfriend, unexpected relationship had disrupted the plan's foundation. Fine, yeah, because they were dating. Harry was to commit suicide to mythologize himself. Wright was to bring the knife to the Raven, and Gull was to lead the Foundation through its first crisis on Terminus, which is what they're facing right now. She woke up, which is the stealing of the warship. Gal's outrage at her mental's manipulation, not really mental for like 10 minutes, is momentarily curled by the revelation that she possesses latent talent called prescient ability. Yeah, so they give her a superpower. And again, it just makes everything you give the character makes her less interesting, right? When she was at her most interesting in the first episode when she was scared and unsure of herself. That gave her an interesting... The more superpowers they give her, just the more snoozy it gets. I'm just not interested. So the next episode, Missing Piece, freaking excellent episode. Directed by Roxanne Dawson, Lieutenant Commander Bella Torres, I think, from Star Trek Discovery. The main thrust of this is the Brother Dave walking the spiral. It's absolutely fantastic. He's because you feel him like just fall apart slowly, but it's like complete determination to make it, right? And what it is, it's this like super long trek. If you go down to one knee during it, if somebody can help you up. But if you go on two knees, then they can't, and you just get left to die. So he meets up with somebody walking the spiral who doesn't know who he is. He's got the most famous face in the universe. I don't know how, and he hears more about the universe from like a street point of view. And you know and they walk together for a lot of the way until eventually this guy dies. He kills over and dies on the wall. He's like, no, you nearly made it. So at the end of the walk, you get to this pool where you're supposed to have a vision. If you have a soul, you're lucky, and you make this thing. You're lucky enough to have a vision. So he's trying to find out more about what these visions are, and he says one person. He said he's spoken to other people who've been on them, and the salt in the cave starts to swirl and things like that. So he makes this incredible trek, right? He makes it to the pool. So, and you're really invested in him, right? Because it's Lee Pace, and he's doing such a great job. You're really invested in him. And he has this vision of this ancient flower, and you see it happening. But then as the episode goes on, he goes back to his spaceship or whatever, and starts to be healed. He's all sunburnt from head to toe. And then the radical rabbi who was the Tanai Miller is visited by his robot, who is like this again, very faithful to this religion, and she ends up very nicely killing her, and she's really not happy about it. She's very like, they were in tears, but she's like secreted a poison through her skin because the Emperor's commanded to, and she has to do what the Emperor says, and she dies. So then at the end they have this great confrontation where, like, because she's a slave, and it's impossible for her to speak out against the Emperor, right? So she's so at the end of the episode, she says, "Oh, that flower you spoke about, I think you saw that in my room," right? So he basically says, "I think you're full of shit, and anybody not having a vision, I just feel sorry for." And then you see that he didn't actually have a vision, right? You see the reality of it, and you feel bad for them, right? You do feel bad for them. So back on the Invictus, they not much happens. They make it to the bridge. They can't navigate the ship without sacrificing one of them, and they have to be hardwired in. But they found a way not to do it. But what's the name? Salva says that she'll sacrifice herself. Of course, she's stunning and brave. Answer everything. Probably the dweeby man who has failed. It's probably going to be the navigator, because the ship jumps at the last minute and you don't know where it's going to go to. My guess is the ineffectual Mel, who was the leader of the Foundation, sacrificed himself to take them somewhere, right? Probably back to Terminus. So did anything happen on the with the other plot line? I don't think it does, right? Yeah, I think pretty much everything is focusing on Brother Day's was it Trek of the Spiral, which is fantastic, right? It's a real was it test of endurance that you're very much invested in. So yeah, that episode 8, the missing piece, freaking awesome, absolutely awesome. Just please next season, give these two female characters some character, right? Rather than strip it away, give them some character rather than strip it away. And giving them character isn't making them invulnerable and perfect and the people who can do absolutely anything, right? That's a bad idea. That just makes for boring TV, which it is whenever they're on screen, which is really sad, because everything else about this freaking awesome. Oh, one other thing I hate about it, they've really torn apart that character, Gal Dornick. They've really torn apart the character, because she's like saying, she's on a water planet, and she's convinced that the water's going to rise and drown the monsters, and you know, it's just like this idiotic liberal progressive idea of science, which is so unscientific. I've done the math. No, there's no math. You know, they always want to say science. Well, the science says. They say until they get to something they don't like, which is gender, where the science says, normally too. You know, but it's just another way of tearing apart an interesting character, which is just tragic, absolutely tragic. Other than that, bit of a recommend. So, my name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.